Good morning, everyone. My name is Tsedneya Asrat, and I am a rising senior at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, and I will be presenting on urbanization and food insecurity, strategies for building sustainable food systems. A little bit about me is that I'm passionate about health and community service. Last summer, through the American Chemical Society SEED internship, I experienced the opportunity to conduct a comparative study on the effect of natural chemical compounds that are found in food on cancer proliferation. I dedicate my time to organizations like Upchieve, where I've tutored over 100 underrepresented students in STEM. And starting at a program called Our Future is Science, I'm developing educational resources aiming to enhance food security awareness geared towards college students. Currently, I am researching public health funding and its equity implications to advocate for more inclusive health policies. And lastly, I have participated in HOSA and Science Olympiad throughout my high school career. Urbanization, or the mass migration to cities, is reshaping our world entirely. By 2050, an estimated 68% of the population will be urban. This shift is driven by a push-pull effect, where poverty, environmental degradation, displacement, and conflict push people from rural areas, while cities pull them in with promises of jobs, education, and healthcare. However, this complicates existing rural food systems because more people require more resources. Although cities do offer that higher standard of living overall, regions where urbanization outpaces economic growth struggle to keep up with the influx of people, causing pockets of poverty within them because that city isn't able to accommodate everyone. This brings me to a study done in 2014 by Chen et al. That found that the gap between countries with higher urbanization levels and countries with lower GDP per capita growth have been widening during the last 3 decades, meaning that developed countries with high urbanization rates tend to have strong economies, reducing those poverty pockets as seen by their high GDP per capita, which is a metric for the health of a country's economy. Developing countries, on the other hand, with rapid urbanization might not be reaping the same economic benefits because their economy can't handle that influx of people. You can also see this phenomena in this graph. If you look at the green dots that represent Northern America and Europe, as the urban population increases, so does the GDP per capita per year. And it does so at a high rate, with the green dots following a strong linear trend, meaning that Northern America and Europe have these strong economies that are able to keep up with the vast urban growth that occurs there. While areas in Africa, which house one of the largest food crises, are seen in orange, but they're below the curve. This means that the urban population there is growing, but their economy can't keep up. So overall, this data is telling us that the urbanization that is occurring without economic growth may correlate with poverty pockets that we see in these urban communities. Food systems are a byproduct of a region's population density, and they encompass the entire range of activities involved in getting food from the farm to our plates. They influence what we eat, which significantly impacts our health and well-being. There are three major types of food systems: traditional, mixed, and modern. Traditional relies on local, seasonal, minimally processed foods sold mainly through informal markets and are often associated with rural regions. Mixed food systems offer more processed foods but have limited access to affordable nutritious options, plus information in the labeling of these products are scarce. Modern food systems, lastly, which people in the US are primarily familiar with, offers year-round variety with processed and packaged foods and has the highest safety standards. However, this disparity between high and low-income areas is especially evident despite this urbanization. The food systems that I just mentioned aren't stagnant or static, but rather they fluctuate based on that area's population density. Densely populated areas, for instance, often run on mixed and modern food systems, while rural areas often run on traditional food systems due to their simplicity. And when urbanization comes into play, we end up transitioning from traditional food systems over to modern and mixed food systems. The image here does a great job of highlighting modern urban food systems, where goods either get imported or produced internally first, and then undergo midstream processing, which includes tasks like packaging, transportation, storage, and the wholesaling of products. And finally, before consumption, the food gets shipped to stores and traditional markets to be sold. As you can probably tell from this image, this process is pretty complex, and as a result, lots of midstream jobs have been created, allowing for off-farm job opportunities, which are apparent in sub-Saharan Africa, for example. And initially, this sounds great, with new job opportunities often being associated with economic growth. But even with increased job opportunities, urbanization and these new food systems continue to exacerbate food insecurity. On July 2nd, 2024, a new UN report revealed that 75% of the world's total food insecure population now live in urban and peri-urban areas, particularly in developing countries that may not reap the expected economic benefits of urbanization. As people move from rural areas to urban areas, the demand for high quality food and housing increases, driving up prices. This in turn creates food deserts, which are areas with limited access to health options, often due to a lack of grocery stores, and food swamps, which are areas with an overabundance of unhealthy food options. Another outcome of urbanization in these low and middle income countries is that people start relying more on buying food from wholesale markets because they don't have anything else near them, which can be challenging due to affordability and the cost for commutes. Something I also really wanted to highlight is that the increasing complexity of the modern food system creates a feedback loop. Consumer preferences heavily influence what gets stocked on shelves, but if only those who can afford diverse and nutritious options dictate these choices, the gap widens between those who have access and those who struggle. And lastly, we as consumers and retailers throw away about one third of the food that is produced, getting rid of resources that might have helped food insecure people. Up until now, I've elaborated on what is going on globally with this issue, but locally, there are some ways to alleviate food insecurity. In the past, I have volunteered with organizations that package food for donations for people in need, for instance, and food insecurity affects people of all demographics as well, including 39% of college students in the United States alone. In order to reduce this, myself and a small team are working with our local college pantries to bring more attention to the services that they provide through outreach and education. And personally, via interviews, I've learned about the existence of food banks and how they help food insecure students directly by distributing food to them. Currently, we're drafting resources that teach how to maintain a healthy diet during your time in college and directing people to apps like Too Good To Go, which combats food waste by connecting consumers with food establishments who have surplus goods and are selling them for discounted prices. To prevent people from learning through suffering, we're driven to provide a space where people can share these tips and help one another not go hungry. These local interventions are impactful. However, the root cause of food insecurity must be addressed and can be through food system reform. The following suggestions stem from the UN report on the right, which highlights several key interventions. They suggest redirecting investments to give priority to urban and peri-urban situations, recognizing that local governments are well equipped to shape specialized food systems for those communities. And next is having multi-level governance as advocates for government systems that emphasize coordination across various sectors, like agriculture, infrastructure, and urban planning to ensure that a variety of voices are considered throughout this decision-making process. Next up is enhanced resilience, which focuses on equipping communities with stand-in stress to withstand stress-induced situations like climate change, economic inequalities, and pandemics. Last but not least, we have integrated strategies, which includes making rules about how food is grown and sold, giving money to incentivize businesses to help fight for food security, and also teaching people how to make better choices about what they eat on a local level. These are my references. And I'd like to express my appreciation for the SEED program, OFIS staff, and all of my mentors thus far. I'd also like to thank GHLC for this opportunity. Here's my contact information if you'd like to reach me.